Welcome to Let's Talk Tech with NVTC, a digital series exploring tech's most notable trends, new innovations, digital transformations, lean agile principles and mindsets, the future of work, and so much more. We'll introduce the next generation of leaders from member companies of the Northern Virginia Technology Council and learn about the great impact they are making in our region. I'm your host, David Galliano. Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Tech with NVTC. Today's episode will feature a fireside chat with Mawish Hamlani, Managing Director from Accenture Financial Services Technology Group, and Tom Hughes, Navy Federal Credit Union's Vice President for Enterprise Data and Information Management. Before we begin, I want to thank our sponsors, Accenture and Uninet, and our media partner, iHeartMedia. As always, you can find all of our episodes on the iHeartMedia podcast app. Welcome, Mawish and Tom, to the show.
Thank you, David. Great to be here.
Thank you, David, for having us on today.
Absolutely. I know the intent today is to get a little bit deeper into some of the challenges, the successes, and the learning that Tom, you've had working with Accenture on implementing an enterprise business transformation across the organization. And Mawish, I know you've been partnered in making that happen. I'm thinking, let's just jump in and talk a little bit more about what the project's been all about and where you stand.
Absolutely. Thank you again, David. So Tom, would love to understand from you. Can you share a little bit more about Navy Federal's cloud-based data transformation journey and what your role has been over the last few years?
Sure. So just to level set, I've been with Navy Federal for just shy of 3 years. So I joined shortly after the transformational journey began. My role as the VP of Enterprise Data and Information Management was really to establish the data engineering capabilities to support the transformational journey. Now, our journey to the cloud and all about our transformations has not just been limited to data transformations. We're actually making a major initiative to modernize all of our systems of engagement for all of our member services, from cloud native core banking through loan origination and loan servicing, and all the way through to our branch operations. The cool thing about that is that data is one of the most pervasive characteristics of the transformation. So our data transformational journey really has been branded Mission Data. And the whole origin of that stems from the need to provide more engaging service to our members. Navy Federal, we're a credit union. Our focus is on military, DoD, and families and friends. So it's really important that we provide an exceptional banking experience for our members. What we found is that the best way to engage with our members is to allow them to make data-driven decisions on their own, to provide them with the information that will help them on their financial journey. So in order to do that, it became very necessary for us to take an assessment of all the data assets that were available within the credit union, and more importantly, how we're using those data assets to engage with our members. This initiative started with a directive, and I should say the term directive, really with the full support of our Chief Executive Officer and our Chief Operations Officer. And their directive to us was to essentially make Navy Federal a data-driven, data culture organization. So with that in mind, we partnered with Accenture to begin building out our data transformation journey. The initial focus was on a set of, I'll call them low-hanging fruit, minimum viable products that we could put in place to demonstrate how we can modernize our data capabilities to our senior executive leadership. While we did have an existing operational data warehouse in place and an operational data lake in place, they had served a particular set of our organization but were not in a position where they could provide the types of support that we needed for our transformational journey. So the Mission Data Program was really all about kind of taking a blank slate, if you will, and kind of creating that new data architecture, new data landscape, or data fabric, as we've started to call it, and then start to utilize that data fabric to drive member experiences. We built a new data lake in the cloud, and we built a new cloud data warehouse, which we've termed the analytical semantic layer. Now, on top of that data foundation, we've institutionalized traditional business intelligence capabilities and created more of an architecture that would allow for self-service data discovery for our business users. But more importantly, what we started to implement was adopting artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities that would help us provide more predictive insights into how our members were interacting. And using this data fabric and some of these machine learning capabilities, we were able to actually expose those capabilities to our members in their banking experience. So in the span of a few short years, we've really made a major transformation in how we're servicing our members. We've also taken a step to drive better member insights through all of our call center operations as well, which is, again, is a data-rich, branch of our business. And part of the technology we've used there is really to translate the audio calls, translate them into text so that we could mine those call logs and produce better insights on how we're servicing our customers, and more importantly, what are the areas that our members need assistance with the most. And again, we're applying more advanced artificial intelligence capabilities around that. So it's been a pretty impressive journey. I think, again, in the span of just the 3 years that I've been here, I've just seen so much accomplished, and we've just had tremendous support from our senior leadership backing the transformation that we've had.
That's fantastic, Tom. Thank you so much for sharing that. I especially love when you mentioned the reason for starting this journey was really recognizing the best way to engage with members was to allow them to make data-driven decisions. So you talked a lot about the benefits that the Navy Federal members are already seeing to date. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about some of the key challenges that the team has had to overcome, and then what are some of the future challenges that you anticipate?
So first of all, I don't like to use the term challenges. I'll say there were opportunities that we came up. So I mean, as you can imagine, the talent pool, we were very used to building things, using monolithic mainframe technology. Our existing data warehouse is a Teradata platform. So we had very mainframe-centric, kind of traditional data warehousing skills as well. So I think one of the biggest areas where we need to focus was really on upskilling our engineering talent so that we could be successful within our cloud journey. So again, partnering with the Accenture team, Accenture really helped us accelerate our ability to deliver by partnering with us and establishing kind of a team-oriented framework. We called it the pods, the engineering pods, where we brought Accenture, I think some of the initial seeded those pods with engineering talent. And then as we recruited and upskilled our teams, we put them into the pods. And so the teams learned pretty much on the job, the different engineering skills that were needed. Some of the other opportunities that we encountered, when you're making a major transformational initiative like this, and data is the end product here, one of the emphasis needs to be placed on data quality and data quality management. And what we found was that we needed to put a much greater emphasis on the quality, assessing the quality of the data as we were moving it into the cloud and into our cloud ecosystem, particularly for data that was going to be implemented to support our machine learning models. In order to train those machine learning models, the quality of the data needed to be very closely monitored and assessed so that the models could be trained and perform accurately as well. Another area which was an opportunity, once we built all these capabilities out, and I think we stood up in the span of the 3 years, 22 distinct data management capabilities, which ran from data sourcing, data ingestion, machine learning operations, various BI centers of excellence and things like that. We built a lot of very complex data and analytics products. And as we were building them, and moving them into production, we very quickly came to realize that this is really complex, and what happens when it fails. So we needed to take a step back and put in place a data operations function, which would be linked into our development, engineering, and delivery framework, so that as we built new capabilities, they could be supported and sustained throughout their product life cycle. And that was actually, I think, a real big win for us as well, because as you can imagine, if this data fabric and these machine learning capabilities are really becoming part of our front-end engagement with our members, having them be fault tolerant and resilient and highly available was a key area as well. Scaled Agile, we also, as part of our transformation, we adopted Scaled Agile as our delivery framework. So again, organizationally, we were very comfortable working in a waterfall environment, so rapidly learning the Scaled Agile approach, and implementing things like CI/CD as our delivery framework. Again, that was there was a bit of a learning curve there, but I think today we've mastered those capabilities. I think we release new functions, new products pretty much on a weekly basis through our CI/CD pipelines with high quality and really low incidence of any type of disruption in there. So I think overall, I think we've made a very successful transformation.
I would agree with that. So Tom, like you mentioned, the transformation to date and the way that you have structured the team was really on MVP-driven MVP-driven approach using individuals placed in pods. Is that something you can see continuing, or will there be some changes in the way you've organized the team?
Sure. The engineering pods we stood up, again, those engineering pods lined directly up with the data management capabilities that we put in place. And we would not have been able to achieve the types of success that we've been able to realize without that. But as we've been evolving the mission data program, what we've started to shift to is this concept of moving towards data products and analytics products. So while the pod structure will still be in place, we've taken the focus that our data lake, our cloud data warehouse, our operational data hubs, those are the data products that make up our data fabric. And we've aligned those pods to the individual data products that we're constructing. And then around those data products, we're building business-focused product roadmaps so that we can continue to grow and evolve and sustain those products to meet our business stakeholders' demand. So the pods are still going to stay in place, and they'll still be a very, very key part of our delivery model, but their focus will change more towards a product orientation. And that's part of an overall project to product journey that we're taking within our product engineering services organization.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? Because we have a lot of clients that go through similar journeys, but it becomes so focused on technology and building technical functionality for the sake of having more tech out there. But Navy Federal's been very focused on making sure the business has been moving along this journey side by side. So how do you sustain the momentum and ensure that the business units and other technology groups within the enterprise are adopting the new functionality and giving you feedback very quickly on that functionality?
Yeah. So, so again, I think part of it is kind of that shift to the product focus. So, I have a counterpart on the business, and he and I are essentially joined at the hip, not only from the strategy definition for all things data and analytics, but all the way down through the engineering work and the delivery. So again, we work on again, minimum viable product basis. We have identified this concept of developing in order to sustain the data ecosystem. We've landed on this concept of implementing lean portfolio management concepts, where we can funnel new business activities, new business needs into an intake funnel, and then assess them based on business priority, and then break them down into individual epics and features for our agile delivery execution. That lean portfolio management approach is now embedded into our enterprise portfolio. So as new projects come up and they're vetted through our enterprise project governance panel, we have touch points that allow those projects to make their way into our lean portfolio from a data perspective. And that's been a really big win. And it goes a long way to establishing our vision of having, an enterprise, a data-driven enterprise, and our data culture as well. So
great. So Tom, you've been in this industry for a very long time. I believe you have over 3 decades of experience, especially within data. There's so much going on in the space, so many buzzwords. People who don't really understand the technology are all of a sudden experts on these things now, because they can get into certain models and play around with them. What are your personal thoughts on where the industry is going and how organizations can continue to capture value through their data technologies?
Well, I think the one thing is, I think the one constant is kind of coming to the understanding that your data fabric is going to be the critical success factor in order to achieve any type of success in analytics, whether it's traditional business intelligence or augmented analytics or machine learning or even generative AI. It's making sure that that foundation is solid. And all the different pieces that we've seen from the data architecture, all the things that we've seen on the hype curve over the years still apply and are still relevant. Things like master data management and data virtualization capabilities. They're really critical. And I think they are forming the foundation of what everybody's starting to refer to as data mesh or data fabric. But what I think is really exciting and really cool now is AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning. I think those capabilities are now very rapidly maturing to the point where they're becoming so much more mainstream, and that they're making their way into pretty much every facet of life that we see. So for us, I think the next big horizon is how do we take things like generative AI, internalize them and identify how we can first and foremost utilize them internally to address some of our employee-powered and member-centric initiatives, but then more importantly, how can we productize those and start to institute them into our abilities?
So,
One of the key-
Tom, if I may, Mawish, the longevity in the space, and Tom, your outstanding vision of some of the more traditional challenges in a business transformation journey around a data-centric organization, I think sometimes run afoul of rapidly changing technology bases, including the cloud. So really a question both for Mawish and for you, Tom. Mawish, how do you help customers, look to see what's coming in terms of disruptive technology change? And Tom, did your organizational journey look at those or encounter those changes as opportunities to accelerate or challenges that needed to be overcome?
Good question, David. So it's interesting. As you know, Accenture recently made a commitment of spending $3 billion as an investment towards generative AI alone. And I mean, that's just an example of where we see a lot of opportunities in this area. We recently did a survey, and 97% of the executives that we spoke to said Gen AI has the ability to transform their businesses, but only about half of the businesses said they had the right data structure and data architecture to make that happen. So, some of the bigger challenges that keep coming up are, do we have the right individuals and resources in our organization to help lead this transformation and help sustain that transformation? A lot of the opportunities that Tom spoke about, right, around really upskilling the resources and being able to attract and retain the right talent. Some of the executives talked about having the right data in place, but making sure that they have the right control and governance of the data, which is another opportunity that Tom spoke about. So a lot of the challenges that other clients of ours have, Navy Federal has done a great job of working their way through that and being able to now use AI and machine learning towards delivering better concepts, better service and customer experience for their members. Tom, over to you.
Yeah, no, I think the one key thing, and I think we mentioned this early in the conversation, is that we don't do anything technology for technology's sake. So the partnership that we have with our business stakeholders, we're identifying opportunities for technology innovation together, so that there's a business case that we view and business requirements that we're addressing, and then we jointly look through what is the technology options that we might have, whether they're in the marketplace today or if there's something maybe a little bit more disruptive that we can latch onto. I think one of the key things, Mawish, that you said is really true, and it's really speaks to part of how we're focusing on the adoption of generative AI. It's around governance and identifying things like what are the ethical use cases of some of these technologies as well. We're a financial services institution, and our number one priority is our members and maintaining the integrity of our members. So as we look at introducing technology, we are always cognizant of the fact that as we introduce new technologies and capabilities, we also need to be aware of the ethical aspects of that as well, and putting in place the right amounts of governance around not only the data, but the technology platforms itself.
And for you in particular, also making sure everything that's put in place is also auditable, right? Because the audit piece is such a big component for financial services.
Right, and that's good. We are regulated, so everything that we do needs to be subject to those regulatory inspections and things like that. So again, that comes back to the strong emphasis that we place on governance.
David, hopefully that answered your question.
It does, but it also has me thinking that in any transformational journey, having a partner who knows the landscape and can guide and counsel as much on the things not to do, the things to ensure to put in place structurally for governance and control is just as important as the outcomes that you may have been initially targeting. So I congratulate you both on the both sides of that partnership in guiding towards that journey.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Again, I think going through such a transformation in a short period of time, we would not have been able to be successful without that technology and partnership from Accenture.
But David, it's also a great testament to Navy Federal, the fact that Accenture is now in the back seat, much smaller team, and it's being completely driven by Navy Federal, right? So it's what every consulting company wants to see is we've gotten you to a point where you're good to go and we can step back. So congratulations to Tom and his team for accomplishing that. And on to the next opportunity, right, Tom? The next on to the next opportunity.
Absolutely.
I actually think you can see further from where you stand, having accomplished what you've created for the organization as a platform that positions you to take advantage of new opportunities and new technologies, which is exactly what Wish says, fantastic accomplishment. But I would ask you if you could go back 3 years and tell yourself, one thing about what you didn't expect or what to watch out for or what to take advantage of along the way. What advice would you give yourself at the beginning that is a result of the learning you've gone through experientially?
So I think it comes back to talent. I think it's being able to make the right investments in upskilling the talent. We wouldn't be anywhere without having gone through a major exercise in upskilling our talent. That I think would probably be kind of the critical success there. And if anything, again, I've been with the credit union for 3 years now, but I've gone through other transformational journeys as well. And I think that's been a constant. The other area too, which I think often gets downplayed, is the concept and the importance of good change management. In order to execute, transformations of the size and complexity, getting the organizational readiness behind, what's happening and what's changing is really important. And again, I think, coming out of the gate, I would say investing a little bit more energy in a broader change management program, making sure that everybody's aware of what's happening, why, and how it's going to impact them. I think now we've kind of are at the point now where we're far along in our transformational journey, and every new step we take, we definitely make a cognizant, very conscious effort to weave in change management right into the initiation of any of these initiatives going forward. So, but that probably would have been one of the things I would have maybe placed a little bit more emphasis up front on.
I would just comment, as much as I hear about the transformative impact of generative AI replacing jobs, replacing people, and reducing labor, ultimately the key success factor to every large-scale program and business transformation is the people. And
Yep.
you have to remember, technologies come and go. Some of them stay, but at the end of the day, it's about people making change.
Yep, agreed.
Fantastic. Mawish, if you were to start again, and obviously you counsel a lot of customers and help them along that journey, what advice would you give other organizations that are now heading out in this path, and how to replicate the kind of success that Tom is delivering for his organization?
And I think what was key at Navy Federal was really making sure we started small. So that MVP-driven approach, where every 3 months, every quarter, what is the goal? What do we need to accomplish? And let's go do it, right? Let's do it small scale and then continue to grow from there. And felt the first few sprints, it felt foreign, it felt strange not to have that North Star that you're trying to go for. But it definitely gave the team the confidence and gave the business team the opportunity to see the technology, play with it, provide feedback, and then continue to improve from there. So I think that start small and then grow from there. And taking an MVP-driven approach was key here, and very important for success for other organizations that are starting a similar journey.
So really the virtuous cycle of continuous learning, continuous improvement.
Exactly.
And as you continue to make progress, even if the goals themselves continue to shift as you learn.
Exactly.
I think that's great advice. I would ask, first of all, thank you to both of you for the impact that you continue to have in technology modernization impacts to the people and businesses in the Northern Virginia technology area. Closing thoughts. What would you think? And then I'll give it to you to bring us home.
Tom, I'll let you go first, and then I'll start.
Closing thoughts. Again, I think, having completed this transformation journey, I think it comes back to the concept of continuous learning. We've gone down this path. We've learned, we've applied our learnings, and we've continuously improved our talent and our ability to address the needs of our business. I think when we look at the next, down the road, the next frontiers, I see a lot of exciting things, opportunities for us, ahead. Again, leveraging data as an asset, and empowering our members and our employees to really utilize data for their own particular benefits. So I think this has just been an incredible journey, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter, and starting very soon too.
David, I was going to say, again, I feel Navy Federal continues to be a key example of defining that success. So everything that Navy Federal did, starting with senior leadership and really having the buy-in and the champions among senior leadership, a focus on customers, starting small to validate and prove out the business case, and then making sure that you're taking the business along with you and not just building up functionality and capabilities for the sake of it. So.
Malish, I would say that's so key. Tom, I liked how you had mentioned being, partnered at the hip with the business and having executive leadership recognize that it's a transformational journey, that you're still learning along that path at the same time you're executing. Because I think that gives the opportunity to transform the organization successfully as a partnership between the technology team, the business team, and either team trying to go it alone, you generally will fall flat because you need that partnership in order to grow and deliver transformative results across the organization.
That's so true, and we would not have been able to be successful without that partnership. I've personally been blessed with having who I think is probably the best business partner I've ever had in my career in this program, and I think that's been, again, a big key aspect of our success.
And also, I think a key learning for the rest of the community who's going to try and replicate some of the success on their own internal uses of exposing data as a broader enterprise asset and is empowering people. Want to take the time to just stop a second and thank you both for joining me. Malish, I very much appreciate the domain insight and thought leadership that you brought to not only Accenture and NVTC, but in the work that you've done to Navy Federal. make the advancements that they've done. And Tom, heartfelt congratulations on the business transformation you've effected. I would caution you, never think it's done, because the truth is you've created a next tier platform. And as soon as you take a step back and take a breath, it's going to be, now where do we go from here? So well done.
Thank you.
And thank you for having us on.
Thank you, Mawish and Tom. We hope you enjoyed the program today and look forward to seeing you at the next one. Please visit us at nvtc.org for more information, both on programs in the past and what we've got planned ahead.
We look forward to seeing you at next month's Let's Talk Tech with NVTC. In the meantime, follow us at Nova Tech Council on Twitter and LinkedIn, and remember to sign up for the latest tech news at nvtc.org.